people who have self-love is us as South Africans. What we are doing here in South Africa right now is self-love. We are showing everyone in the world that we are going to fight for South Africa. Look at how General Mkhwanazi is fighting for South Africa. Look at how Zandile Tabula is fighting for South Africa. Look at how the mayor of Tshwane is fighting for South Africa, people. We are fighting. We are trying to fix South Africa because South Africa is broken right now. Our leaders have broken South Africa. We are out here fighting, trying to reclaim our nation. You get what I mean? But then it seems as if these people, these illegal foreigners, don't take motivation from us to say, you know what? Look at what South Africans are doing. What if we do the same thing in our country? What if we can go back to our country and try to fight however we can? Starting small, on a small scale. And then we fight. We don't give up. We fight for our nation till our last breath. We fight for the future of our kids, the roots of our tribes.
South African, when you say go back home and make things right with your government, go back home and fight your government, you do not really understand what you are saying. Because if you understand that when I get home, I'll work for 10 rand per day in a company, you will not open your mouth to say this rubbish. Imagine when I see you saying go back home, you are really serious, frustrated, angry. Trust me, it hurt me from the inside because I truly know that I will not be able to obey you.
My fellow beautiful South Africans, you see this right here, this is what we call an excuse. Because I can tell you that there are Zimbabweans who are here in South Africa working for the very same 10 rand that this man is talking about. Every time when we are busy out here saying that Zimbabweans come from Zimbabwe and then when they get here, they take jobs by allowing these people to pay them very low salaries and wages. Kanti, people think we are delusional when we say that. We are not delusional. The biggest problem when it comes to these jobs that are occupied by illegal foreigners is that they allow these employers to take advantage of them and pay them peanuts. Some of them are working for the very same 10 rands. So when this man is out here making this excuse saying that if they go back to Zimbabwe, they are going to work for 10 rand, some of his brothers and sisters are here in South Africa working for the very same 10 rands. So make it make sense to me. That is why I'm saying this is an excuse. Pela Zimbabweans, when they get here to South Africa, they don't come here and actually demand minimum wage like us as South Africans, that no one should be paid a salary of less than 3.5 a month. They don't want that. If an employer tells them that, okay, I will employ you, but I'm going to pay you 1,500 rands a month, is most likely going to agree. So tell me, if someone has agreed to a salary of 1.5 a month, will that employer ever consider South Africans whenever he wants to employ? Obviously not, because he understands that taking advantage of these Zimbabweans is beneficial for the business, but employing South Africans means more money out of their pockets. So that is why they go around employing these illegal foreigners. It's not like illegal foreigners come to South Africa and work for proper wages and work for the minimum wage. They don't do that. They work for less. So even if they can go back home to Zimbabwe working for less, it's no difference. They should stop making these types of excuses, go back home and fight for their country so that their country can stop paying them 10 rands. You know what confuses me about the attitude of all these people who want to stay here in South Africa illegally is that they like to act as if South Africa is perfect or South Africa is treating them better than their home countries, when most of them are living worse lives here in South Africa. I'm telling you. Listen, there are some obviously that come from these outside countries and then when they get to South Africa, they find success and things like that. But I can tell you that most of them come to South Africa and continue to struggle. The same way they were struggling back at home, they continue to struggle here in South Africa. And here in South Africa is worse because Operation Tutula is always after them. You know, there's a lot of things that are happening here in South Africa. It's even worse. It's more struggle. But then they want to stay in South Africa. They want to make all sorts of excuses why they have to stay in South Africa instead of going back to their countries to fight their governments. You know, it's very, very interesting. It's very, very interesting. They are going to come up with all sorts of excuses on why they should remain here in South Africa. I honestly think these people no longer care about their countries. I honestly think they no longer care about their roots. You know, I don't know how to feel about it, because what about the coming generation? What about the coming generation of Zimbabweans? If Zimbabweans have all run away from Zimbabwe, they want to go to other countries, how will the coming generation of Zimbabweans understand what it means to be a Zimbabwean? How? Because you won't understand what it means to be a Zimbabwean when you are living in South Africa. If you want to run away from Zimbabwe and your kids are here in South Africa, they won't understand what it means to be a Zimbabwean. That is why I'm saying they don't care about their countries. They really don't. They don't care about their roots. Basically, they have self-hatred. Because if they loved themselves, they didn't hate themselves, they would fight for their nation. They would fight for their name, Zimbabwe. They would fight for their country. Not staying here in South Africa busy making these types of excuses. People who have self-love is us as South Africans. What we are doing here in South Africa right now is self-love. We are showing everyone in the world that we are going to fight for South Africa. Look at how General Mkhwanazi is fighting for South Africa. Look at how Zandile Tabula is fighting for South Africa. Look at how the mayor of Tshwane is fighting for South Africa, people. We are fighting. We are trying to fix South Africa because South Africa is broken right now. Our leaders have broken South Africa. We are out here fighting, trying to reclaim our nation. You get what I mean? But then it seems as if these people, these illegal foreigners, don't take motivation from us to say, you know what? Look at what South Africans are doing. What if we do the same thing in our country? What if we can go back to our country and try to fight however we can? Starting small, on a small scale. And then we fight. We don't give up. We fight for our nation. Till our last breath. We fight for the future of our kids. The roots of our tribes. They don't take motivation from us. They just want to stay here in South Africa fighting against us as South Africans, making these types of excuses. You know, it's really, really sad. It's really, really sad to see. Because if we are going to neglect our home countries here in Africa and we want to go to other people's countries, how is Africa going to develop? How? The only way for Africa to develop is if South Africans remain in South Africa and fight for South Africa. Zimbabweans remain in Zimbabwe, go to Zimbabwe and fight for Zimbabwe. Mozambicans fighting for Mozambique. Nigerians fighting for Nigerians. And then once we've fought for our countries, we can see that no, our countries are proper now. We can then start looking at other big things like uniting the whole continent and things like that. Let us first unite our countries before we can think about other things. Let us not want to unite here in South Africa. No. South Africa for South Africans, Zimbabwe for Zimbabweans, Nigeria for Nigerians. It's as simple as that. Let us not make excuses telling us that in Zimbabwe they are going to pay you 10 rands. When here in South Africa you allow them to pay you 5 rands sometimes. It doesn't make sense. It's a useless excuse. So that is just what I wanted to talk about in this episode of The Spotlight. So please tell me on the comment section down below, what do you think about this whole situation? But then if you just enjoyed this video or you learned something new, please leave a like and subscribe to this channel. I would really, really appreciate it. My name is Emmanuel and this is Mzansi Varsity, the place where we transform lives through knowledge and information. Let's meet again on another video.